are you? I love you. I miss you.
I love you, and I miss you too. We're doing this together for the ATX Festival, where we were lucky enough to spend a considerable amount of time. And I actually miss it now. I have many, many times over the course of this quarantine thought about our time there and miss it so much. And I have a few friends there. I have a couple friends there now. And I'm so jealous that they're there. I know the temperature is probably creeping up and getting uncomfortable, but we had, even in the hottest days, we had the nicest, most lovely times there.
Yeah, I was just thinking about
Texas.
The first thing I did when I got to Austin, Texas, was buy a bicycle, because I thought, I'm not going to get a car. I'm going to ride a bike. And coming to your place, Bud, remember? And I thought to myself, I think it will happen. I will get there. And just remember, just at night.
I know. And then I had this beautiful back. I was in a high rise in downtown, and I had a deck that was just had the most beautiful view of Lady Bird Lake and South Congress, etc. And we used to sit up there and have a cocktail, and we'd have
whatever it was.
Heaven. Yeah.
Heaven. And
heaven.
You would play music. You would just touch something and the music would come on. The one
like a plant. Yeah.
And it just lent itself to beautiful nights after
there was a
work, say.
Do you remember the night? There was one night where we were shooting the scene at, I don't remember. It was the one where you kind of Rickroll me, where you walk away from me singing, never gonna give it up, never gonna let you down.
Yeah.
And you were walking away. That episode of that night, we were shooting in Lockhart, which is where our fictional town of Jordan was. And there was a huge storm coming, one of those ones where you get up the satellite and there's just orange and red. And we jumped in my car and we raced back to my place, went up to the top.
I remember.
Poured ourselves, it was like at 5 a.m. or something, poured ourselves a deep cocktail, and then watched those storms roll in and just crash on Austin. And it was one of the happiest moments that we spent there, which there were many, but and just lightning bolts raining down, and felt biblical and wonderful.
Biblical, there it is.
Yeah.
Like many times in Leftovers, I mean, biblical.
I mean, it almost looks like nonfiction now. In a weird way.
God. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know if this is accurate, but one of the strongest things from The Leftovers, well, many, many, many things, the ability to sit with grief and sort through it. I always thought the reason people had a hard time watching those that didn't watch was because the feelings of, no, not going there, not going to do it. Mm-hmm. Loss. I'm going to, no, thanks. I'll find something else. And I always wanted to say, just stay a little longer and you'll find your way through.
There was even a lot of times, go ahead.
Please, honey. No, please.
I was going to say, there were times even in the first season when the show hadn't really found its tone yet. I mean, we were establishing our tone, where I remember I was thinking, my God, this is so bleak, but the doing of it and the viewing of it, I think, are two totally separate things, because, and we've talked about this, where the doing of it was, I guess joyful is the wrong word, but I think we always knew that we were so lucky and blessed to have the material and the talent around us that we had, from directors to writing to the other cast. So the doing of it was, I guess, yes, joyful. Like, even though we were doing incredibly bleak stuff, and even the more difficult scenes, I remember in particular, scenes like, in the well, or when I push Patty into the well, and you have that stunningly gorgeous monologue about Jeopardy. And at the end of those kinds of days, I remember feeling this like levity and happiness, and in that, it's kind of like, getting to be a part of an incredible, sports play or something, where, the passes all got handed off to the right person, and the right person caught the winning touchdown, and it felt good like that. And then we'd again go back to my apartment, and you come over on your bicycle, and then we'd have a cocktail, and I'd be worried about your drive home. But yeah, I mean, but then in the viewing of it, it always felt like a totally different experience, because then I was just able to sit back and watch all the beautiful score that Max Richter had put in, or the musical choices that they had made, or the direction, which was more often than not completely stunning, and also all the other performances that we weren't able to, were scenes that we weren't a part of. So it was, I got to enjoy it 3 times. The reading of the script, which was always a joy, the doing of it, and then the watching it. Yeah.
Can I go back to season 1, Jess?
Yeah, sure.
Just because I remember not knowing you, I didn't know you. I didn't know your work, because I somehow live in I don't know where. And I remember, I've told you this before, but I think this bears repeating, especially if someone's going to hear it. I remember it was 3 a.m, and we were somewhere in New York, and we lost track of where we were. I mean, or what was, and we didn't, as you say, we hadn't established, what is this show exactly? What is the tone? What is happening really? And then gave that question up, because we realized it's not going to be answered immediately. And I'm looking at you at 3 a.m. The heat was ridiculous. You were in a polyester policeman's uniform. It is polyester, correct?
Yeah, it's plastic.
Time after time after time, the stunning performance when you're trying to beg your wife out of that crazy place.
Oh.
And I turned to Peter Berg and I said, where did you find him? Have you ever in your life?
That's the nicest thing.
I'm not exaggerating. And then I thought, oh, I hope I can work with him.
Little did you know we'd be handcuffed to each other.
And then, remember, little by little, we came to know each other. Not fast.
Well, we came to know it, not fast. It was a slow creep, because our storylines weren't really in alignment, and half the time you weren't even speaking, literally, in our scenes together. And I remember, and it was incredible to watch, obviously, that, because I remember thinking, having a similar feeling of going, this woman is incredible, because I didn't know you either. And we were not even, I still wasn't really, it was one of the things where I wasn't really understanding what your character was doing in the story, or what her motivations were. But I was getting sort of this front row seat to watching you perform. And I was having that dual experience of, like, I'm acting and I'm in a scene with you, but I'm also watching this incredible performance, and I'm closer than the camera's behind me, so I got an even more front row seat to it. And it was just beautiful when you did that Keats poem, and I don't know. And I feel like that's when we really, and I remember we it was another one where we finished those scenes and we were like, oh, hallelujah, it's over. Because they were always felt like these big mountains to climb.
That's the thing.
Those kinds of scenes.
Scary mountains,
Yeah.
But Johnny, remember at the end, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, we both independently came to the conclusion. I was writing in my script, notes in my script, and sort of annotating my script, as you do. And I sort of had written down and circled, this is a love story,
Dave,
between these two. And I still feel that way. It was this,
okay.
and it was a love story in a lot of levels, but, and obviously we didn't know where the story was going at that point in season 2, and even wasn't even sure you were going to come back for season 2 because you died in season 1. And I remember both of us getting completely bereft when we read the scene of you. And I said, this can't happen. You have to be back for season 2. And thank God Damon Lindelof allowed that love story to continue. And it just got deeper and deeper, all the way up until.
And who would be less likely to become friends than Patty and Kevin? But anyway, honey, coming back season 2, trying to figure out what was the relationship between us, And I remember saying how Damon was so considerate. He would not answer questions unless you asked them.
Yeah. And even then.
And even then, well, yeah, I mean, he just wanted us to put the pieces together. And if we couldn't, you know, then he'd be there 1,000%. And I said, so what is Patty doing? Is she trying to help their marriage? Why is she there, appearing in his room? And, well, shouldn't have told her. Told you not to tell her, but you did. And I said, is he trying to help? Am I trying to help the relationship? He said, oh, no, Patty doesn't believe in relationships. And suddenly, clarity. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Where
but there's,
and then he said, she doesn't know why she's there. Last she knew, she was dead. Now she's here. She's trying to figure out what's going on here.
Well, this is where it goes back to it becoming kind of like a love story again, because it's and when I say a love story, I don't mean a romantic love, or it's like
I hear
two souls being joined and fused together. Because it was a wonderful thing that Damon did by not sort of giving us the roadmap to those characters. He gave us the scripts, but that only gets you so far, and then you get the next script, and that only gets you so far. So we were having that relationship in real time.
Yes.
You know, and learning each other in real time. You know, the characters were learning each other in real time. And so by the time we got to, you know, the end, you know, of that relationship, you realize that Kevin had been tasked with, as gracefully as possible, leading her to death. And that's the love story. You know, that he was in charge of seeing, whatever you want to call it, her soul, her and that journey they took together was the most loving thing you could do for someone, is to see them to the end of the plank, you know.
And you took her to the end. All she needed to do was, well, not all, but put out there, I had a chance to shift things for myself and I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And then getting that out and then looking to you.
And she gets all those rocks off her back before she just dissipates, you know. Then, by the way, I told you I did a rewatch in quarantine, just because it had been so long since I had visited it. And it's almost like, and then we got into season 3, when you come back again, this time as, you know, the Secretary of State. And it's almost like, you know, it's like when you hear an opera singing and you hit a high note and it's just, you go, oh my God, that is the highest, most beautiful note. I'm talking about writing now, not performing.
I hear it.
And then it threads all the way through to season 3. And then it goes like one more octave higher, because then she shepherds him to the death of his shadow self. And I thought, and when I read that script, I was like, oh my God. That's where you start to feel like, you know, Damon Lindelof has just, and all the other writers and all the consultants, because, by the way, no short shrift to the incredible direction and writers that were in that room. And
Parada, for God's sake.
And Parada, and they're all just maestros, you know. So that's where I thought there were times like that where in the writing I would go, or even in, you know, Chris Eccleston and Nora's Mad Lib scene, you know, where they're saying goodbye to each other before she goes into the, you know, the, whatever it is, the device. That's when you know, it was season 1, I felt like we were sort of on shaky boards. And then I thought, but then by season 2, I really felt like we could not be in better hands, you know. And even though we had hard days, it was always a joy to go to work.
I wonder what you know about Hard Days on Leftovers. Oh my God, the stuff you went
all of us. I mean, everybody. I got wet a lot. I got killed a lot, but it was fun. The water was the least amount of fun.
That was brilliant.
I know.
Oh, here's the other thing I want to say, and you're going to think I'm sentimental. Well, you already know that. But I want this, I don't know if this is important to say, but this is what always stunned me about The Leftovers. You, Kevin, shepherded Patty through her change, through her life ending onto wherever else she will go. And Patty did the same for you in terms of the part of you needed to let go of. To this day, and it will remain this. You're the one I call and think of when I'm in, and I have been, now see, I can't talk about it, regarding my son. And whenever I tank, I think of you, and I think, just let's talk with him in your head. Come on now. Come on, have the conversation. Come on. And I find my way through. And that's not, that to me is life-changing. Do you know what I'm saying? Just like what happened in Australia. That will never change for me. Even if I don't pick up the phone, I know I will be okay if I connect to you. And we will find, I will find a way through. And that's what was extraordinary about The Leftovers, is that it traveled well beyond, in my experience, the story that we saw.
There were so many times. Thank you, Annie, and I love you.
I love you too.
There were so many times when we'd be working and things would happen. And, and it's, is it the show, or is it us, or is it life imitating art, or art imitating the show? But there were just, I wish I kept a journal, there were so many times where we go, oh my God, can you believe this is happening right now? And this is, I'm not verbalizing it correctly, but there were so many kind of coincidences that would happen. So happy accidents.
And to me, there's, they were real. They were intentional on whatever plane the universe operates. I think because of where we went, because of what was written, and then where we had the privilege of going, that land somewhere in the universe, I think. And
it wasn't the typical kind of, shrimp, plate of shrimp, oh my God, I was just talking about a red car and one just drove by. It wasn't that. It was.
Oh my God. I wish
it was more than that. I wish I could think of one example, but.
I can think of one, but you're sick of that story.
Which one?
Australia, after the panic attack.
Well, which, oh yeah.
To me, that was so not by accident.
I love this story.
I had a panic attack, my one and only, and it was fierce. And I was staying with Justin, thank God. And you were there, you knew immediately. Okay, I think I know what's happening here.
Full disclosure, I've had many panic attacks, so I know exactly what, and I don't mean like, oh my God, I had a panic attack.
I know exactly where you're thinking, okay, this is the end of my life, and now what do I do? I don't know what I would have done had I not been with you, or would I have walked out into traffic out of panic. But at any rate, getting through it because of you. And then the next day, walking out of your home in a kind of stunned state, because that's how you feel the next day.
You just crashed on the shore.
And you think, well, I better go out because I'm going to shoot the day after. But I remember wandering into a church, which is always where I went regarding you, whenever I wanted to give you a gift, as you well know. I mean, and I'm not a practicing Catholic by any stretch, but I always wanted to go to the saints to protect you, whether it's Christopher or whomever. I wanted it somehow to be sacred for you. And wandering into that church in Melbourne, near your home, and walking around and going straight to the gift shop, and but I wanted to find something for you, to thank you. And I was looking at all the beautiful medals and things, and I said to the gentleman, first of all, I didn't say anything to him. He said, it's hard to be away from home, isn't it? Okay. I didn't say anything. Yeah. And he said, I know, especially when you're a long way from home and your children and you worry, but you'll get back, you'll be all right. First of all, excuse me.
I'm just here for the gifts.
No, I mean, how does he know anything?
No, I know, of course.
Yeah, exactly, duh. And so then I said, I want to find something very special for my friend. I love him very much, and I want it to be a saint that is not thought of often, but is done so much. And he introduced me to several. And he said, well, this is the one I would recommend. And so he wrapped it up and I thanked him and we finished chatting. And then I went to leave and I turned and I said, what is your name? And he said, Kevin. And I didn't even flinch. I said, of course his name.
Of course it's Kevin.
You know what I mean? It just
Yeah, totally.
confirmed.
That's a perfect example of it. It is.
You're like, okay, yeah. And I remember there were many of those, just, of course. And
tons.
I can't either.
Well, as soon as we get off this Zoom, I'll remember 5 of them, but there were tons of those.
Oh
Tons
my
of those.
God, I'm goosebumps from top to bottom.
I know. You know, the good news is we enjoyed it. We didn't, I mean, we didn't enjoy the panic attack, I'll be clear. But we enjoyed the, and I'm very grateful to really you and Damon and just the directors. There was never, I didn't ever have that experience of like, oh, fuck, just got to get through this. What are we doing? This is stupid, you know? And by the way, we weren't exactly Game of Thrones either. We weren't catching fire all the way to the end. We still haven't really. But I you know, I would always, you know, when we'd have those really tough weeks, I still was like, I don't care if 4 people see this thing. I know we're making it and it's good, you know, like
exactly.
And and I'm proud of it. Which is, you know, there's many things you make which we've all made, you know, occasionally, which we're not proud of, and we're dying to get off them. I'm not speaking about any project in particular.
No, you're
but it's rare when you get the ones that you're excited to do, you know,
and you realize, oh boy,
ecstatic to do.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember when I found out we were moving to Austin, it's almost like everyone says like, oh, you're gonna love Austin, you know, and I'm like, ugh. It was like, because I'd never been and people were like, oh, it's the best, and they would all be like, live music, barbecue, food, Texas, you know, big sky. And it's almost like you have to agree that you're gonna love it before you even get there. And I was fully prepared to hate it. And because I don't like live music necessarily, barbecue I like, but I could take it or leave it. All the sort of pluses of Austin were not the things that I loved. I loved the people. I liked the city. I liked the food, of course, you know. But it was just, and also, and this is, you know, it's a cliche, but I never understood the word, you know, the descriptive big sky country until you really see it. The horizon does feel like it's about 40 degrees larger on either side, and stunning. The clouds would do the most incredible things. The sunsets would do the most incredible things. The storms would do the most incredible things. The temperature would do the most incredible.
Yeah. I remember sitting in my bedroom in my little sweet place with my feet up on the windowsill and looking at the birds in the backyard, my jaw dropping. I had gotten bird feeders. I mean, that I live in New York City, and I would put different ones, and they'd be just landing, saying, "Oh my God, that's a cardinal!" And then a blue jay, and then a squirrel would come and hang by its whatever. I just, what? It was bliss. I loved it.
It was heaven. It was a heavenly place. I've been back a couple times since. Just I went back there a couple Christmases ago. It was fabulous. Fabulous. Yeah, it's where I'd like to get a second. And Austin Pets Alive, by the way. Austin Pets Alive, the best place.
Yes, yes. Hey, I still have that dog,
dogs and cats.
that crazy dog from Austin.
I know.
My favorite.
And Dad.
My favorite sentence from you. Question: did you read the paperwork? Remember that? And I showed it to you.
Well, you're impulsive. It was like an impulse adoption. You were like, oh, honey, I found this dog. He was fabulous. Like, oh, he's just beautiful. He was sitting in a cage, and you know, like, and you're telling me this story, and you've got the paperwork. You're going, I'm getting him tomorrow. I'm bringing him back. You know, blah blah. You know, you have a full family, and with times, you know, at the time with smaller children, and and you were. And I go to my counter, and you sort of drop the paperwork of this dog, which ended up becoming named Rudy. And I look at it, and it's like, not good with children, you know, an aggressive biter, a fear biter, like all these kind of descriptions. I was like, and this might not be the right dog for you. And you were like, does it say that, honey? I'm like, yes, it says it's right on the thing.
Read the paperwork. I was like, why? What does it say? I'm like, what does it say? Hello.
That's hilarious, but it worked out.
Yeah.
Goodness.
A few people are missing a left limb, but you know what?
Yeah, I don't know. Hilarious.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
well, I miss you, Annie.
I miss you, my love.
I can't
We
wait
have
to see
to,
you.
I know we say this, but project.
Yeah, I know. Hey, anyone in the ATX crowd, if you have a
Oh,
script
I know what we're
for
gonna do.
Annie and myself,
Night is a
please.
room we're doing. Night is a room.
Yeah, we want to do Night is a Room. That
And
would be fabulous.